Today, I'm going to be talking about three main causes of COVID-19 brain fog. So, what exactly is brain fog? Brain fog is cognitive dysfunction that is characterized by confusion or having a lack of focus. However, brain fog can be common though if you are dehydrated or have high stress, but it's temporary and could be gone in a few days or weeks. COVID-19 brain fog, or long COVID-19 on the other hand, is persistent and can last several months while causing severe cognitive impairment. The three main causes of COVID-19 brain fog are increased permeability of the blood-brain barrier, downregulation of mitochondrial genes, and microglial cells and astrocytes acting as reservoirs for COVID-19. Before we take a look at these three main causes, we are going to talk about one research method used to look at dysregularities in people with COVID-19 brain fog. Professor Mohammed and Professor Gadiri in their study looked at many different types of MRIs because they can provide valuable information about structural or functional changes in individuals with COVID-19 brain fog. In this report, I will be focusing on their findings using diffusion tensor imaging. So, what is diffusion tensor imaging? It is an advanced MRI technique that maps out the white matter tracks by measuring the directional diffusion of water molecules. Professor Mohammed and Professor Kadiri found through diffusion tensor imaging that individuals with COVID-19 brain fog have increased mean diffusivity, which is the overall magnitude of water diffusion, as elevated levels can cause tissue damage. Additionally, they found a decrease in fractional anisotropy, which is the degree of directionality of water diffusion within the tissues. These decreased levels mean that the white matter tract integrity is reduced. This could explain why people with COVID-19 brain fog have cognitive impairment because white matter tracts are used to send information quickly across the brain. If they are weak, then information is not being sent. The first cause of COVID-19 brain fog is the increased permeability of the blood-brain barrier, which is at the neuroanatomical level. We have previously talked about the blood-brain barrier, or BBB, but as a quick refresher, it is a highly selective, protective, and semi-permeable membrane that regulates the passage of substances in the bloodstream into the extracellular environment. In leaky blood-brain barrier and long COVID-associated brain fog, it talked about two major findings of the permeability of the blood-brain barrier. The first main finding is that individuals with COVID-19 brain fog have elevated levels of specific proteins, S100B, in the BBB that are only detectable when it is dysfunctioning or disrupted. To find out the second main finding, they used dynamic contrast enhanced MRI, which is injecting a contrast dye into the bloodstream that has low permeability rates across the BBB. Through this imaging technique, they found that people with COVID-19 brain fog had a lot of this dye coming through, implying increased permeability of the BBB. When our BBB is too permeable, it allows for harmful toxins and bacteria into the brain that can cause neuroinflammation and damage neurons. This neuroinflammation can lead to long-term cognitive impairment because it can increase the individual's risk for neurodegenerative diseases. The second cause of COVID-19 brain fog is the downregulation of mitochondrial genes, which is at the genetic level. So, what are mitochondrial genes and what are they helpful for? They are a small set of genes in the DNA of mitochondria, and they are helpful for producing cellular energy and regulating metabolism. Professor Shu and others in their study did an analysis of 3,663 downregulated genes, which means that they are not being expressed, in individuals with COVID-19 brain fog. The main finding they found is that 214 of these genes were in mitochondrial related pathways that are typically associated with neurodegenerative diseases. When mitochondrial genes are not being expressed, it leads to mitochondrial dysfunction because it is not producing enough cellular energy, which is important for synaptic transmission and neuron activity. This lack of energy explains why individuals with COVID-19 brain fog have cognitive impairment, because low cellular energy can cause synaptic failure, which hinders cognitive processes. The third cause of COVID-19 brain fog is microglial cells and astrocytes acting as reservoirs for COVID-19. Microglial cells are immune cells in the central nervous system. Astrocytes are star-shaped cells that provide essential structural and metabolic support to neurons. Also, both of these cells are key mediators for neuroinflammation. Professor Safara and others did a study on COVID-19 itself because they wanted to know why it causes cognitive impairment or brain fog. They found that microglial cells and astrocytes can act as reservoirs and hold COVID-19 because our brain can sometimes harbor viruses, which shields it from host defenses, such as our body trying to actively get rid of an illness. This can cause serious consequences because if COVID-19 is persistent and not being treated by the body, it can cause chronic neuroinflammation because microglial cells and astrocytes can be neurotoxic phenotypes, which is an active pro-inflammatory state that damages neurons instead of protecting them. This explains why individuals with COVID-19 experience brain fog because damaged neurons can cause the brain to lose its ability to process or store information. As we can see, COVID-19 brain fog is not caused by just one simple issue. Instead, it is a combination of factors at many different biological levels that work together to cause cognitive impairment.